everyone. Welcome to another episode of Raya Hope, the talk show and podcast with your host, Dr. Raya. How are you, Mr. Mike?
Very pleasant.
You have a great week?
I have a pleasant week.
Good. Well, today we are going to be talking about Black love, dispelling those stereotypes that we hear, and spirituality and how it plays a part in a successful relationship. And today I have the one and only Antwain Lavender, who was here last week talking about basketball with his father, Pastor Lavender. But he's also my fiance, and we are going to be talking about some of the stereotypes that we hear when it comes to couples and how we can work past that and how Black love can thrive. How are you today, Mr. Antwain Lavender?
Doing very well.
Well, thank you for joining me, being my co-host.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
How you doing, Mr. Mike?
I'm excited about this episode because we don't really talk about some of the things that the stereotypes that we hear when it comes to like relationships and how people on other podcasts and things like that kind of like tear us down, tear us apart. And we want to do just the opposite. We want to bring people closer together, dispel some of those stereotypes, and talk about, how we've been successful. And we also have a show called Living with the Lavs on YouTube and on Facebook. It's just a page where we share insight to our lives and some of the things that we do to give people a different outlook on the success with Black love.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about what is the definition of love to you, and then later we're going to talk about how we met.
Okay. Good question. Definition of love is, first of all, I think love is an action.
Yes.
More than a feeling, because you have to make a person feel love through your actions. So I would say it's an action. You care about a person's, the well-being, mental health, the growth of the person that you're choosing to love. Love is also a choice. Yes. Because you choose who you love. You don't just pop up and say, I love you.
Right.
You choose who you love, and it's a choice. You care about their well-being, It's a day-to-day. It's consistency, too. You can't just say you love somebody today or this week and you don't love them the next week,
I like that word, consistency.
Right, consistency. And that's through the good and the bad, not just in the good times. You love a person at the bad times too. That's the main thing about when you ask me the question about the definition is through the bad times.
Yeah.
That's when you really want to show a person how much you love them, because you want to be there for them. The good times is easy.
Right.
Exactly. Good times is easy.
Exactly.
I mean, you have a great time. It's easy. But the bad times is when you really make a person feel loved through your actions. So I would say.
I like that. Well, for me, it's unconditional. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times you will have people who will get into relationships and one person will do something, like you said, that's bad to the other person. And they break that condition. They say, I love you, but you did this, so I'm leaving.
Right.
So to me, it's unconditional. It's that unconditional commitment, unconditional collaboration, and unconditional understanding. And the reason that I say that is because when you read the Bible, it talks about how Yah gives us grace and mercy. He loves us even though we sin, even though we have all of these faults and we do things that are not worthy. He still continues to day by day extend that grace and mercy. So when you find that person that you want to be with forever, you have to do the same. You can't just say, okay, you're great today, so I'm going to stick with you. Tomorrow you did some things I don't agree with, so I'm going to walk away. No, you have to extend that grace and mercy. You have to be attentive and listening and understanding. You have to collaborate and you have to commit. So I like that.
Commitment and consistency.
That's right. I like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
We didn't even talk about that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about how we met. Now, I've been knowing you for over a decade, about 15 plus years. And we've always been like really good friends, had mutual respect for each other. We know each other's families. So, and a lot of people say, you guys just popped out. And I'm like, no, we didn't. We have history. You guys just don't know about it because it's none of your business.
Right. We've been knowing each other for years, like you said, about 15 years. So that actually, I can speak for myself on this one. That actually kind of helped with our relationship and our growth and how we could, because we can talk to each other.
Yes.
Like even what we're doing right now, we chop it all the time. We sit down and play cards at night and talk. We had these discussions just about life, And it makes it easier because we were friends before. So we was friends. Now we love each other. So it made the path a little bit easier for me. Because, you know, at this age, I'm 47. So at this age, it's like getting to know somebody, you know, getting to know, saying you want to be with somebody forever or a long time. Right. And getting to know that process. We got 15 years in. Yeah. Like, so that definitely helped. That definitely helped the process.
Yeah. And I like to tell people that, you know, even though we were friends during that 15 years, we still got to see different sides of each other during that getting to know each other phase, with the families, and, you know, how you interact with your mom and father, your brothers and sisters, and you got to see how I was as a mother with my kids, and with how I was as a daughter and a sister. So we got to see each other's growth over those 15 years. I mean, you knew me when I was starting school at 37, and then I finished school 13 years later at the age of 50. So right. So you got to see that, and you cheered me on, which means a lot. So, you know, I appreciate that. Yeah. So next we're going to talk about some of those stereotypes that we hear with couples. Oh boy. One thing that I see a lot on these podcasts, you know, everybody's an expert in relationships and love nowadays because they have a microphone. Right. But I go based off of experience and things like that. Right. But one of the things that we sit and we talk about is how they try to tear down relationships when it involves a woman that's educated, that's a high earner. And they say that she has an attitude, she doesn't listen, she doesn't submit, she doesn't collaborate. And then we meet. Right. And you say, you know, you don't fit that mold or that stereotype that they say, you know, with you being a doctor, you having your own and earning, you always say, you know, you're one of the 1% or 10%. You don't fit that mold. 5%. 5%.
Because that's, but you know, piggybacking on what you said, some of the stereotypes, even the 50-50 thing, I'll just be wanting to throw the whole phone at the phone or whatever. But it's going into a relationship. You gotta leave the outside world, leave the outside noise alone, leave it alone. Yeah. Get to know that person, and what y'all do in y'all's household is y'all's business. Yes. If she makes 200,000 and you make 60, 70,000, that is y'all's business. Right. Back to love. She chose to love you. If he makes 200,000 and she makes 67,000, he chose to love you. So what goes on in y'all's house, keep that between y'all. The outside noise is tearing relationships apart. Right. Because men are sitting up here, like you said, they're thinking that women that are high earners have attitudes. No, it's two things can be right at the same time. Is it an attitude or is it a standard? So you took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say two things can be right at the same time. You have females, you have people that whatever, they have attitudes or whatever. But then you have a standard as a female too. Like a lot of females just, you know, you have a standard or, you know, who you gonna talk to, how you gonna move, you know, just that's a standard, that's a preference. So it's not always, and once again, you're a 5%er because our conversations and how we move is we just take care of things. Yeah, like we just get it done. Like whoever does it. Like when we go to the stores or when we go shopping or whatever, it's whoever. Sometimes I buy stuff and ain't none of it mine. Vice versa. You buy stuff and it's not even yours. I'm like, babe, I yesterday. Yeah. We was looking at some outfits. She like, oh, I ordered it. I said, geez, Speedy Gonzalez. I said, that was quick, Speedy Gonzalez. I do the same for her, you know, so just focus on your relationship. You know, leave the outside noise alone, the 50-50. My dad has always raised me to, one thing he always taught me, the 50-50 really irks me because if y'all building together, build together. Right. You know, people go in relationships expecting, you know, do you be the best version of you. If I have my own crib, house, apartment, whatever that man has, if you move somebody in, you was already paying the bills by yourself. Right. You was already paying the bills by yourself anyway. But that person will add whatever they bring to the table. That's what they add to the table. But yeah, so just leave the outside noise alone. Get you a person that loves you, that chooses to love you, and you know, try to be happy. Yeah.
And like you said, the word add, it's an addition.
Right.
It's not the whole thing.
Right.
It's in addition to.
Right.
So, you know, the 50-50 thing. And a lot of people sell themselves short when they talk about the 50-50 thing. And this is my take on it. Doesn't make it facts, but this is just my take on it. Like you said, if a man has his place and a woman moves in, he's already paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and then she comes in and she has an addition. If she were to leave, you still continue to carry on those bills when she's gone, and vice versa for the woman. But also, if a woman or a man says, I want 50%, and your 50% is 10,000, and that person's 50% is 2,000, then how do we meet in the middle? So like you said, we have to go based on love, go based on what we can do for each other, and not so what the world is saying we should be doing. Because that doesn't always equate to everybody's household being 50-50. Sometimes it's 70-30, sometimes it's 80-20, sometimes it's 100 and 100. And what I mean by that is both people give 100% with the kids, the household, the working, the relationship, and then at times when your 100% is depleted, that person is running at 100%, they can lend you some, and vice versa. It's like, you know, let me step in and help with that. And then when that person is getting depleted, you can step in and say, you know, right now, you know, you help me get back to 100%. I'm going to pour into your cup and give you some of what I have.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It makes the dream work. And I tell mothers this all the time, like, you have to take care of yourself first, because if you're running on 50%, you're giving your kids about 25% of that 50%. But if you're taking care of yourself, you're doing the self-care, self-love, reading your word, staying active, eating right, you are at 100%, then you can give your kids that. So you have to take care of yourself, and it's the same for relationships.
And piggybacking on that, that's the foundation. Yourself, you know, when you have people depending on you, you have to, just like you said, you have to make sure that foundation is strong. Because if you fold, everybody's gonna fall on top of you, and that's not, you know, that's not good.
And let's get into that with the women that are educated, high earners, and the submissiveness and the listening. Have you had that issue where you feel like those type of women don't listen or don't submit? Because I've seen it with women that are not high earners that don't listen or don't submit.
That's what I was gonna say. You see it in women. Women. No, but it's like going back to what you said, standards. You know, if you're making a substantial amount of money, you know, obviously your lifestyle is different from, you know, a lot of people just making a lot less. So I just think it's women. It's not it's.
I think it's the way that the women are raised, though.
It could be that too.
We talked about this also, where there are households, and I don't know if it's the men or the women, but they're raising women to be Instagram models and social media influencers, and, you know, creating content. And then there are households, like from my mother, from myself, we're raising women that can be independent, or they can be wives. They can be mothers. We're instilling motherhood, class, wives in them, in the household. So I think it has a lot to do with your upbringing. Because even though I've educated, went to school, and take care of myself, I still believe in washing, folding clothes, cooking, grocery shopping, and all these things. Even though you would do them, and you have done them, the way that I was raised, I just do it. It's just natural instinct for me to do those things, and I'm a nurturer. That's why I got in the medical field. I love to nurture people.
And back to what you were saying about the submission part, that goes with align what you just got finished saying. Submissive, that's how you was raised. That's in you. You know, coming from the household, coming from your mother, how you was raised. You choose if you want to be submissive or not. You know. Women know how to be submissive, just like men know how to be masculine. It's like in you. It comes from the household. Father, that's why fathers are very important in the house to make you know, so that man can be masculine. Women can, you know, they can raise men, but they can't teach men how to be a man. You know what I'm saying? So I think it starts in the home, just like you said. Definitely starts in the home. And being submissive is, you know, some women choose not to be submissive. They can be submissive because everybody breaks the rules for that one person. We all say, men and women, like we all say, man, I ain't doing it. But when that love hits you, that love is on your back, you're like, you know what? I guess I will. She cool or he's cool, you know. So yeah.
So how does spirituality play a part in a healthy relationship? So for me, I look at it a little bit different, because I always read my word. And I truly believe that couples, once they're, working towards marriage, because you have to date intentionally. You have to date in purpose. I think everything we do has to be in purpose with our jobs, with our children, with our households, with our dating. I date with intention and purpose. Because to me, that is a partnership, is a covenant, under Yah.
Right.
And so, like I said, he extends that grace and mercy to us. So we have to be with someone that we're willing to extend that grace and mercy to, but also someone we can pray with and pray for, and they can return that for us. Pray with me, pray over me, cover me. So it's a covenant. So how does spirituality play a part in a healthy relationship for you?
It builds a foundation. Like when both of y'all are aligned, and both of y'all have the same goals or see the future, y'all see the same thing. It helps the mental. You might be overthinking stuff, but when you're spiritual, like you said, when you have that strong belief, it's going to get you through every single time. So spirituality is definitely a big thing in relationships to the core. Like I believe to the core. I don't Bible thump, but because some people like, and they don't want to hear it, but it's listen, spirituality and faith will get you through, even in our relationship. Like when you said earlier, and I was like, oh, she talking to me, but I knew you weren't talking to me exactly, but right, just like when you go to church, the pastor is all like, is he talking to me? But what you said earlier, and that's about the love, choosing to love somebody and building with somebody. When me and you had got into a couple of altercations, nothing physical, a couple of disagreements, but
just words.
I walked out. I walked out, and that's not real love. What I'm saying? Spirituality. Once we start talking, then you always talk about the faith. My dad's a pastor, so I was raised in. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stick this out. My beliefs, my spirituality is gonna help this. It's gonna leave it stronger. You always beat me up, not beat me up. That's the wrong words. You always put it in me like, listen, spirituality and pray, and you're gonna make it through it. We're gonna make it through. Don't run away. So, spirituality definitely builds that foundation, alignment.
Yeah, and I think the walking away had something to do with, not the upbringing, but the things that you were privy to in the household, or maybe some things that you've seen. Like I said, we were raised a little bit different, even though your mother and father were married. My mother and father were married. They have 4 kids. We have 4 kids in the household. Still, the upbringings were a little bit different. And you said you never seen them argue, and they would walk away. So that you didn't see it, so maybe you just kind of like picked up on that habit of, okay, let me just walk away.
Just walk away, because one thing, and that's one thing I did credit my parents for. I never heard my parents cuss until now. My mom, she's great. No, my mom, I love her. But they never cussed in front of us. Like my dad was up here last week. We had the show, and he said it himself, which I didn't know. I was like, oh, did you? Like. He said he would leave and go drink and smoke and everything, get high and stuff. He never did it in front of us. We never seen him do it in front of us. Right. So anytime if they was arguing, they would actually go outside, get in the car, and drive around a circle, and then come back. We like, what's wrong with y'all? So they wouldn't. So that's probably. And I have seen my dad. They would get into it sometimes when we was younger, but he would walk out, because my dad has never put his hands on my mom, never seen that, nothing like that. So that's probably where I picked it, like you said, raised in a house like that, like, I would just walk out. But now I don't do. We say we're not doing it.
One thing that got me with you is like when early in the relationship we were having a disagreement about something, and you said God tapped you on your forehead and said, "Don't play with her."
Yeah. Spirituality, like we had a little situation, and I've never. I'm not just saying this because it's you. I've never, and you seen it. You seen it. It was right there in front of you. Like it was just something that had went over me. And was like, you laugh about it, but it was something that was like I said, man, he tapped me right here, and it felt like a fingernail. It was like, hey, like calm down. Leave everything alone, all that outside noise, leave everything alone. Your homeboys, these extra women, all this other stuff, leave it alone. If you're going to choose back to choosing, if you're going to choose to love her, you're going to have to love this one right. He tapped me in my head. I said, okay.
Thank you, yeah.
So I had to choose, so spirituality got me through it.
And I think it's going to carry us through. Like I said, we pray together before we go out of town,
Right.
before we do anything. You know, we pray.
Yeah.
You know, wake up, pray, go to sleep, pray.
Right.
It's going to carry us through. So, what is one thing that you learned from this relationship? And I'll tell you that what I've learned that I've never had with any other relationship in the past. You know, I was married for almost 14 years. I got married in my 20s, got divorced at 40.
Right.
And then tried to date after that, but it just wasn't the same. You know, I wanted to get in school and get focused. So one thing that I learned from this relationship that I appreciate and I tell you all the time is that you were honest, you were transparent, you were open in the beginning of the relationship. And I learned that if men really respect you, if men really want to be with you, they can be open, they can be honest, they can be transparent. Because we were friends, like I said, for 15 years. So I think that helped. But because you respected me enough, you said, hey, you know, there are going to be some women that I was dealing with in my past. If we run into them, they may be upset, but this is what's going on. And, you know, they're upset that I'm cutting them off or I've cut them off. And so it made me have a different type of respect for you because I've never had anybody volunteer information in the beginning. It's always, you got to find out on your own or aha.
And that's another thing though about what I was saying about the friendship. I respect you as a friend before we even start dating.
Yeah.
So as the friend, first and foremost, as a good friend, I'm like, I'm not gonna do her like that. Like, hey, look, we just start talking, but I got a couple friends and stuff, and somebody might be because I wasn't gonna play with you like that. I wasn't just gonna get in a relationship, mess with this girl. I wasn't gonna do you like that. So you're right. I was honest about it, but it did make it easier on me because I wanted to be outside with you. I wanted to go places that, you know, when you places and you're lying, somebody pop up.
Right.
Why are you with her? I wasn't going to disrespect you like that as a friend. Going back to the friendship into the relationship. So, yeah, that was a big thing. And yeah, I had to be honest.
I appreciate it. And now we're here. So what did you learn from the relationship?
Patience.
Okay.
You have to be patient because that goes back to the stereotypes of relationships though too. Being patient because you can speak for this as a female. Every man is not the same. You can't treat every man the same.
Right.
You got to be you in the relationship. Like I'm gonna always be me in the relationship, but every woman is not the same. So you have to learn the woman. You have to be patient. Some females don't like this. Some females like this. Everybody thinks just because you're a man, okay, I'm gonna do this. You're supposed to be a man. Everybody thinks because you're a woman, I'm gonna do this because you're a woman. No, you have to learn the person.
Right.
You have to be patient. You know, learn how to love a person. You know, you learn how to love everybody. You can love everybody different. So. Patience, I would say patience is a big thing. Patience, you definitely, I always throw this up. I always want to give you your flowers for this. Mental health, fellas. I can't speak for the women because I'm a man. Work on your mental health. Work on your honesty. You know, I'm not no perfect angel, but I'm just saying once you start working on it, trust me, she'll see. You see the smile. See the smile. Nah, but
because I've seen the growth.
Once you start working on it, work on yourself, fellas, for real. Work on yourself, your mental health. Leave all this outside noise, and you know you'll find somebody.
I appreciate that I get to see you with the growth. Like I said, I've been knowing you for a long time, and seeing when you were outside.
Right, outside.
And shaking and moving, and not to mention he's a basketball legend in the city and overseas and college and high school and everything. So, you know, there's a lot of women that would know the name and want to be associated with the name or want to be seen out with you and things like that. So I appreciate that I get to see that growth in you and that you were honest and transparent and that we were able to build a friendship. So, and you know, I say those women were seat holders. Until I got done with school.
Hey, we was friends, and that's another thing I was gonna say. I knew you genuinely liked me because we was friends. So all that other stuff, I was like, nah, she genuinely likes me.
Yeah. So, and then also we have an event coming up. It's the Living with the Lavs, adult couples paint and sip coming up. It's like brunch,
right?
You know,
we'll do brunch,
chicken and waffles and things like that. And we'll have tickets on Eventbrite soon, but
we're also planning, don't forget about this, but we're also planning a couple mental health events and stuff too. That's in the making, works, so be ready for that too.
Yeah, I'm excited because we can start off with the men's mental health and have a different perspective on that, and then, you know, we can transition into the couples, because I think men and women have to learn how to listen to each other.
Right.
And listen to actually get a better understanding instead of just responding. Because we see so many, again, things on social media where people are listening to have a quick response or a snappy response, or, you know, a aha moment that can go viral.
Right.
And we don't want viral moments. We want moments for people to actually learn something, be educated, create partnerships, build their spirituality and their relationship, and focus on purpose.
Right.
And so I think that's what we bring as Living with the Lavs to social media, to YouTube, to, you know, the mental health events and things that we're going to be doing. And I'm excited for that. And I think that, you know, with you transitioning, it's going to be a great opportunity for you to show people that knew the old Antwain, you know, what God has done in your life, that you're transitioning into a mental health advocate for men, women, families, and, you know, you were also one of those, I have to give you your flowers, you raised your daughter, did a wonderful job.
Yes.
You know, a lot of men are not able to do that, but you did that. You took her in your home, you made sure she got in school and cheerlead, and, you know, became a teenager, made it through high school, no teenage pregnancies. Just, you've done a wonderful job with being, you know, the father in her life, and taking her in and just carrying that load. So we appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
So the Bible verse of the day is Colossians 3:18-19. Wives, submit to your husbands as it is fitting to the Lord Yah. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. Make sure that it is covenant and collaboration and not confusion. So tune in next week to Raya Hope Talk Show and Podcast. We thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Antwain, for coming on and sharing your relationship advice and your personal experience. You can connect with Raya's Razor Light Foundation on Instagram at Raya's Razor Light _FDTN. Raya's Razor Light Foundation on Facebook. Email us at connect@rayasrazorlight.info and visit our website at www.rayasrazorlight.info. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Mike.
You're quite welcome.
Everybody have a wonderful Saturday. Bye-bye.